Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be talking about summer reads. And the twist is none of these reads are going to be romances. And here's the reason we're doing this, okay? I feel like in the summer we get so many romance books. We get so many romance recs because for the most part, I think a lot of us tend to gravitate towards romance reads in the summer just because there's something lighter. Those are books that you can like take to the beach or the pool and just like enjoy more casually, I think. And there's just something about a good summer romance, you know? And I have nothing against summer romances. In fact, in the summer, even I tend to read a lot more romance than normal. So I'm not here to drag summer romances. I definitely take part, but I feel like in general on YouTube, on social media, we start seeing a lot of romance recs. So today I want to talk about books to read in the summer that are not romances, because sometimes we do crave other genres. So that's what we are going to be doing today. Beside me here, I have a stack of 10 books that I think would be great summer reads. And then behind me, I have a couple of books that are on my personal summer TBR, on my physical TBR. And then we're also going to go over some new releases that are coming out this summer. So let's just get straight into it. I have 10 books here in this stack. And the first one, you guys, is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is a like general contemporary fiction book. It is very coastal. It's set like by a seaside town, but essentially our main character is an octopus. And hear me out before you start judging. We also follow a widow, and we also follow this like young adult guy who is trying to find his place in the world. In fact, every character in this book is kind of just trying to find where they belong, trying to find their people, trying to find the sense of community. And so through a few unlikely events, all these characters kind of merge paths. We get a lot of wonderful, unlikely connections and friendships in this book, and it's all kind of facilitated by this octopus in some way. And that's all I'm gonna say about this book. I absolutely love this book. I had no idea when I read this book 3 years ago when I started it. I had no idea that this book would reduce me to tears. I literally saw this book and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. There's an octopus on the cover. It looks very summery. And so I picked it up 3 summers ago and I sobbed. At the end, I absolutely sobbed. I connected with these characters so much. And yeah, this book came out 3 years ago, but I have been seeing a lot of people pick this back up recently, and I've been seeing it kind of circulate around social media lately, and I'm so happy it is because it definitely deserves all the hype it gets. And I should have honestly known I was going to cry when I read this book, because I think just before I read this book, I had watched that documentary, My Octopus Teacher? What was it called? It was something called My Octopus Teacher, something like that. I'll put the poster of the documentary on screen. I watched that maybe like a month or like a few weeks before reading this, and I sobbed watching that movie. So I should have known. I should have known that this octopus would make me cry too, and it did. I feel like they are genuinely remarkable, bright creatures. Like they are so intelligent, they are so smart, they are so feeling. And if you have not experienced the emotional effects of an octopus or an octopus character, you need to experience it. So I would highly recommend this as a summer read if you are looking for something that, you know, you will connect with very deeply. The next 3 recommendations are kind of connected. They're all by the same author. We are going to be talking about Elin Hilderbrand books, okay? I just think Elin Hilderbrand writes like the perfect summer reads. If you aren't familiar with Elin Hilderbrand, basically like 99% of her books are set on Nantucket. They're all set over the summer. They all give like very summer vacation island vibes, and they're just honestly like the perfect books to bring out with you, whether you're going on a boat, whether you're going to the beach, whether you're going to the pool or to the park, or just like anywhere in the summer if you want to feel those feels. I'm pretty sure she's written like 30 of these Nantucket books. Like there are so many, and I have read 3 of them so far, and they're all in this stack. But to go over them individually, this one is Swan Song. I'm gonna be honest with you, this one was my least favorite that I've read from her, but it was still, I think, like a decent summer read and is a good one if you're looking for something a little bit more mystery. We do have like a missing persons case in this one. So we are set obviously in Nantucket, and we follow a bunch of characters on this island. It is multi-POV, and we follow them as they witness this new, mysterious, but super rich couple move onto the island. When they arrive, they start throwing all these like very luxurious parties. Think like Gatsby style parties. Like they are extremely extravagant, like way over the top, and everyone wants to be invited to these parties, but they are quite exclusive. There's always like a very exclusive guest list. But apart from that, like no one really knows that much about this couple and where they came from and how they came to have all this money. And they've hired this like teenage girl to help them. However, one night, they throw a boat party, and that night their house burns down and their assistant, their employee, goes missing. And so we go in this multi-POV, this timeline that jumps back and forth to try and figure out what happened, to fill in the holes of all that. So this one is very much like a mystery summer read. I wouldn't say it's a thriller. It's not like fast-paced thriller vibes, but it's more just like a slow burn summer mystery. The next Elin Hilderbrand, and I actually really loved this one, is the 5-Star Weekend. So this one, again, is set in Nantucket, but I feel like has quite a different vibe. This one is definitely more general fiction. We follow Holly in here, and Holly is like the quintessential picture perfect housewife. She's like married to a heart surgeon. She has this food blog where she puts up all these like amazing homemade recipes and all of that. She's like the perfect host. But at the beginning of the book, her and her husband get into a fight, and then he gets into an accident and he actually passes away. These things start coming up from the past, and everyone, you know, starts realizing that Holly's life is not as picture perfect as they thought. So Holly, kind of like as a part of her grieving process, discovers this thing called the 5-Star Weekend, where you invite 4 other people. So you're like 5 stars, like you're each a star. You invite 4 people, all from like different stages of your life, and then you go on this like big girls trip. So she does that. She kind of invites like a best friend from all of her different eras, and they all go to Nantucket for this vacation. There's a lot of like tension and drama kind of within the friends in this book, because we kind of explore the idea of like fading from friendships, like kind of friendships fading away, or like friendship breakups. And I feel like this book just like showed female adult friendships very well, like female adult bonds with people. And we had a lot of healing and self-discovery in this book as well. So I really loved this one. And so if that seems up your vibe, maybe this one is the Elin Hilderbrand for you. And the third and final Elin Hilderbrand is Hotel Nantucket. I think this one is probably the most popular, like the most well-known Elin Hilderbrand. But in this one we follow Elizabeth, and she has recently like come out of a breakup. She's kind of like desperately seeking a life change. And so when an opportunity comes up to manage a hotel, a new like amazing hotel on Nantucket, she takes it. So she becomes this hotel manager, and we have this multi-POV story where we just follow like different people as they interact with the hotel. Like we follow a hotel guest, we follow like obviously the manager, we follow people who apply and work at the hotel, just like a whole cast of very like quirky miscellaneous characters. We actually also follow a ghost of the hotel, which was actually really fun in this book to have that sort of like magical realism twist to it. There's a lot of drama in this one. There's a lot of like funny things that happen and just like weird stuff that goes on, like when you look behind the scenes of this like magnificent hotel. And I honestly think it's just a good time. This was actually my first Elin Hilderbrand that I read, and the book that got me into her books, and I would say this is my favorite from her. This book particularly though made me really want to go to Nantucket so badly. It has never been like on my bucket list destination list, but after reading this book, Nantucket has definitely shot up to the top of my list of places I want to go to. And one thing I loved about this book in particular, at the back of this book, Elin Hilderbrand actually puts like a very long author's note where she goes over like her own Nantucket like favorite spots to go to, and a lot of those spots are actually in the book. So while you're reading the book and you're in a scene and you're like, wow, I want to go to this place, that place likely actually exists, and Elin Hilderbrand talks about it in the back of the book, like all the places that are real, all the places that she's gone to. I would love to do a Hotel Nantucket trip where I just go to all the places that are mentioned in this book. That would be so much fun. That is the Hotel Nantucket. Moving on to our next summer recommendation, and we are now past our Elin Hilderbrand Rex, but this is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. This one was a very fun read. There's a little bit of magical realism in this one. It's set in North Carolina. No, wait, I lied. It's South Carolina. And we follow Zoe, who her mother actually just passed away. So Zoe actually, upon the passing of her mother, goes back to her place. It's an apartment in this complex called the Delawisp, and it is set on this coastal small town. And she basically just kind of moves there, and she gets to know the neighbors. Similar to the hotel at Nantucket, they're all just extremely different characters, all going through extremely different things. They're all kind of like quirky and different. And we actually have a little bit of ghost activity in this one too. So kind of similar vibes to the hotel Nantucket, I would say. There is a little bit of like a mystery twist in this one where a very famous author used to live there, and there is like evidence or like rumors that he left some works there, some secret works. So there's this whole plot that's going on where we're trying to find the missing pages of his like previous secret work, and everything's just kind of like a little bit magical. Like it's not a fantasy by any means, but there's like just this element of magical realism that adds like a nice atmospheric touch to this book, and I really enjoyed it. I honestly have not seen anyone else talking really about this book. I did read it like quite a few years ago, but I think this would be a solid summer read. My next rec is also a little bit of a mystery, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of you have probably read this book because it did blow up, but Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and this one is actually set in North Carolina. So we had South Carolina in Other Birds, we have North Carolina here. We follow Kaya here. She's always like grown up in the marshes, so she's very mysterious. People call her Marsh Girl. There's kind of a whole like bullying situation going on there. But at the beginning of the book, Chase Andrews, who is like very well known, comes from a very influential family, is found dead. And so now we have a murder case, and we have some detectives trying to find out what happened to him, if there was foul play involved, if there was, who did it. And immediately they look to Kaya because she is kind of like the mysterious, weird marsh girl, and they don't understand her. So we follow this case as it goes on, and we also jump back in time to where Kaya might have had some interactions with Chase and other people. And yeah, it's this wonderful atmospheric mystery. There is also a movie adaptation. I'm sure you all know this by now, but I really did like the movie adaptation as well. So if you want a book and a movie pairing, Where the Crawdads Sing. So everything we've talked about so far has been very real world. Like we've had a little bit of magical realism in there, but if you're looking for a fantasy, go with House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This one I recently read, so I have talked about it on this channel, but it is a cozy fantasy. It's another book I'm sure all of you have heard of before, but it is just, it feels like a very warm hug. We follow this kind of like grumpy curmudgeon by the book guy who works in this very boring government job. He basically inspects orphanages and makes sure that everything is running smoothly in them, when one day he gets sent to this very different orphanage that's on an island and nothing runs by the book there. So immediately he kind of rejects the idea. He's like, no, this isn't okay. But as he spends some more time there, he gets to know the kids, he gets to know the master of the house. Something starts shifting inside of him, and this is just a lovely, lovely, lovely cozy fantasy. There is a little bit of a queer romance subplot in this, so there's a little bit of romance, but it's a subplot. I wouldn't call this a romance book. I feel like this would be a wonderful book to read on a nice summer day when you just want something cozy and wholesome. But if you're looking for something that's more of a high stakes fantasy situation, I would say go with The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. So I read this book. It is the start to a trilogy, and I have not read the second and third books yet. I desperately need to go buy those so I can continue the series. But after reading the first book, I feel like this is a good summer fantasy because it's not that complex. Like it is a YA fantasy, and to me, like the world is very easy to grasp. The plot is very fast moving. There are a lot of fun twists and turns in here. So I feel like in terms of a summer fantasy, I don't know, for me, I want to get into the more intense, like world building, deep fantasies in like the fall or winter. I feel like that's more of the season for those. I obviously do read fantasies all year round because I'm just like an all around fantasy lover, but I do get the vibe where like in the summer, you just kind of want easier reads, let's say, because you are going to be like outside reading a lot. You want something that you can binge quickly, I think. So I feel like this fits the bill. Like it's not very complex, but it is still fun and exciting, and is also a book that is easily bingeable. Like I personally have not continued on this series yet, but I have heard that a lot of people just like end up binging this entire series within a week. And so I feel like this would be a good one as like a nice fast-paced bingeable fantasy to read in the summer sun. Okay, 2 more left, and we are getting into the historical fiction side of things. The first one I'm going to recommend is Homeseeking by Karissa Chen. It's actually a debut novel as well, which is wonderful. But in this book, we follow Suchi and Hai Wen. They grew up together in Shanghai, but as kids, they immediately bonded. They had this wonderful, beautiful, amazing friendship that turned into a little bit of a romance in their teenage years. But one day, Hai Wen secretly enlists in the military, and all of a sudden, he's gone, he disappears, the two of them lose contact with each other, and 60 years later, they're both in this fruit market in LA, and their eyes meet from across, you know, from over the apples or whatever, and they reconnect after 60 years. And so this is a book where we get like past timeline, we get present day timeline, we get moments where we kind of merge those timelines in the middle, and it's just a beautiful story. It's very subtle, it's very nuanced, very character driven. We explore the idea of like needing to move to a lot of different places, like kind of out of necessity, but then when you move to other places, you have to adapt. You have to learn a new dialect or a new language or just like a different way of life. There's a lot of that in this book, and I just think it's a wonderful read, and I think it does suit summer vibes. If you're looking for a summer vibe story that is a little bit more deep, not so much like just kind of like light surface level read, something that's a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more character driven, I would say this one would be a great one for you. And then the last one I'm going to recommend is a book that I just finished a few days ago, and it just absolutely broke me, okay? It broke me, and that is none other than Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, this one does definitely have romance in it. It is literally called Atmosphere, a love story on the front here, but I would say this is more of a historical fiction with like the theme of romance. This book did make me have an actual breakdown. If you have not witnessed my breakdown, it is in my 24-hour readathon video. It's also posted on like my Instagram and TikTok and stuff as like a short form video as well. But in this book, we follow Joan. She is a lover of all things space, and at the beginning of the book, she is currently working as a professor for astronomy and physics. And she lives this very comfortable, very routine life, but there's always been this like itch in her where she's like, I want to go to space. I want like bigger things for myself. One day, NASA announces that they are doing this new space shuttle program, and for the first time ever, they are accepting females. So Joan applies, she does get in, and we follow her as she goes through this program, as she meets people in this program. She discovers love, like love for space, love for the program, love for her work, but also love with friendships, and also, yes, love with a romantic love. And Taylor Jenkins Reid tells this story in the most gut-wrenching way, because we have this dual timeline where on one hand, we are following Joan in the past when she gets like accepted into this program and goes through it, but we have this like present day timeline where there's an active space mission going on, and that timeline, it gave me anxiety. It gave me so much stress, but like in a good way, like in the best way when you want to read a book and want to feel absolutely consumed by it. This does that to you. It is so, I binged it. I mean, I did read it in a 24-hour readathon, and I was trying to take my time with it, but I'm gonna be quite honest with you guys, I devoured this book. It consumed my entire mind. I almost missed my cat's dinner time because I was so consumed in this book that I was half an hour late to feeding them dinner, and they were so annoyed at me. But I just couldn't look away. I couldn't look away. This book is absolutely amazing. It is one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's best, in my humble opinion, and everyone needs to read this book. It is so wonderful. It is so good, and there is quite a bit of this book set in the summer, which is why I think it does give summer vibes. Like we kind of have these like barbecue scenes, we have a lot of like summer things going on, but I would say maybe don't read this in public. So if you're gonna take this outside, take it to somewhere private, like your backyard or a balcony or just like a controlled environment, because you will sob. Okay, so if you bring this to the beach and you're like in the last 100 pages or 50 pages of this book, just like pause it, bring it home, read it in a safe space, because the emotions will get to you. Okay, so that's my warning there, but this is a wonderful, wonderful read. So those were my 10 recommendations. I am going to go a little bit into my personal summer TBR. The doorbell just rang. I'm gonna be right back. Sorry, I'm back. I just got a package delivered, so that was fun. But those were my 10 summer recs. I now want to get into my own personal summer TBR. My current read, actually. This is The Summer We Ran by Audrey Ingram. This one is, like, there's quite a bit of a romance in this one, I'm gonna be honest with you, but it honestly reads more like a drama than a romance. I'm currently halfway through this book. I'm probably going to finish it today. We have another dual dual timeline situation in this one. So in our older timeline, we follow Tess. She is a 17-year-old. She lives with her mom. It's just her and her mom together, and her mom works as a cook, and actually one summer gets a job working as a summer house manager and basically a private chef for this very, very rich woman. Tess obviously moves along with her mom. They end up moving into this very, very nice house where they feel kind of out of place, and over that summer Tess meets her neighbor Grant, and they, you know, they have this like very quick like whirlwind teenage romance that summer. But tragedy strikes and they end up parting ways and never talking to each other ever again, until now, 25 years later, they find themselves running against each other for a campaign for the governor of Virginia. So they're now on opposite political sides. They're literally running against each other, and all of these old things start coming up, all of these secrets that might be exposed that would be very harmful to the both of them. And so they both have to just kind of figure that out. And then also like they're seeing their exes that they haven't seen in 25 years. So lots of drama in this one. And I would say this one's another like very bingeable, easy to read summer book. So that is my current summer read. And then getting into, oh, can I slide these over? Getting into my summer physical TBR. I'm just gonna go through these quickly, but I do have 2 other Elin Hilderbrands that I want to pick up this summer. So I have 28 Summers and I have Golden Girl. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I have no idea what these books are about. I just see Elin Hilderbrand's name and I pick them up because I do really love her books, and I'm just slowly making my way through her Nantucket backlist. And so these are the 2 I currently have. So I'm gonna read these 2 this summer. And I guess after I read them, I will let you know more about what these are about, because I currently have no idea. And I kind of want to have no idea. Like I kind of just want to pick them up, not knowing what I'm getting into. Like all I know is that I'm gonna get Nantucket vibes. But definitely these 2 I have to get to this summer. If I don't, like, they'll have to wait till next summer. Like there's no way you can read one of these books in the fall or the winter. Maybe the spring if you're like feeling optimistic, but like these are definitely summer reads. The next one I want to read this summer is The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. This one I think is a little bit more of a sci-fi vibe, which is fun. This is set in a summer cabin. Oh yeah, it's set in 1995. Our main character is Nate, and he's kind of just like lost everything at the beginning of this book. And so he returns to his family's summer cabin, but finds that there is someone inside named Alex. Oh, and there's a 10-year-old girl who calls herself Artemis Darth Vader. And I think she maybe has like these powers, like mysterious powers that like no one really knows what to do with. This one obviously does give summer vibes. We're set in like a summer cabin, and yeah, there's like a little bit of sci-fi involved, and it's set in the 90s, and that just feels like a good time. So that is The Bones Beneath My Skin, a fantasy that I have to pick up this summer, okay? And if I don't pick it up, you guys need to yell at me, because I've had this book on my TBR for the longest time, like since it came out over a year ago. Like it must have been like a year and a half ago. But What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I need to pick this book up, okay, this summer. I do. And I do think this one gives like summer fantasy as well, because I've heard that this book is basically like The Mummy, but make it romantasy, which sounds kind of fun. But like, yeah, that definitely gives summer vibes. That's also essentially all I know about it. It's just like a mummy romantasy kind of a thing, but it definitely sounds fun. I've heard some good things about this. It is a duology, the start to a duology, so I need to pick this up this summer. Okay, please make me pick this up this summer. And the last one is The Names by Florence Knapp. This story sounds so interesting to me. We follow a mother, and at the beginning of the story, she kind of comes to like this crossroads situation, not physically but like metaphorically, where she has to choose the name of her son. So there are multiple paths she can take with this. Her husband wants her to name him after himself, which she is kind of like, she doesn't really want to do because her husband's not the greatest person. And then she has, you know, obviously her own ideas of what she wants to name her son. And so she chooses 3 potential names. And these 3 potential names branch off into these sort of like parallel timelines of like what would have happened if she named her son this instead of that. And so it's kind of this like, I don't know, butterfly effect sort of a story where you see all of these different things that could happen to them depending on that one choice that she makes. And I feel like that just sounds so interesting. I definitely want to see how that translates into like a book format and how that story is told. So that is The Names. I don't know if this honestly gives summer vibes at all, other than the fact that, I don't know, the cover of it seems summery to me for some reason. I feel like in the fall and the winter, I tend to like to go for atmospheric reads, for more like high fantasies, like that type of a thing. And in the spring and summer, I actually have discovered that I like more character-based stories for the summer. And I feel like this definitely feels like something very character-based. Maybe that's why I'm getting summer vibes off this one, but I definitely want to read this summer as well. So that is everything on my physical summer TBR. Obviously I have more books that I'm going to read this summer, but those are like a few that I like most definitely want to read this summer. And then I do just have a list of anticipated releases that are coming out and that I want to read this summer. So to go through those very quickly, there are 5. The first one is Voice of the Ocean by Kelsey and Impicciche. This one actually has already come out, but I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. But this one is a pirate mermaid romantasy. And that just sounds fun. Kelsey, this is her debut novel. She's like a Sims, like a gamer YouTuber, and I just love her energy in her Sims videos, and so that's why I know about her and I know about this book. So curious to read about this one. And a pirate romantasy just sounds so wonderful and fun. If we're talking about romantasies, like in the summer, why not do pirates and mermaids? Like that is so summery. So that's definitely what I'm interested in reading this summer. Also, Rose in Chains by Julie Soto is coming out in July, which is very fun. I actually do have the e-arc for this book. I haven't gotten into it yet because I'm kind of like trying to tackle my physical TBR first, but I do have this one on my Kindle. I'm so excited for this one. There's also 3 Shattered Souls by my Corland, the 3rd and final book in the Broken Blades trilogy, which is a fantasy romantasy series that I have really enjoyed. Very fast paced, very high energy, very high stakes, very like betrayal heavy, which is fun, and very twisty. So that is something I'm very excited about. I think that also comes out in July. And if you're looking for a thriller, I'm not the person to go to because I have not really been reading thrillers lately, but I am looking forward to Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This one comes out, I think, later in the summer, maybe closer to August. I actually don't remember the exact date. And this premise sounds really good. Our main character, I think, gets attacked, and then the doctor says she only has 7 days to live. So then within those 7 days, she becomes very determined to find out who attacked her and who did this to her. So it's like a very like time-sensitive story. And the other time-sensitive story I read from Holly Jackson, I actually really liked. It was, what was it? 5 Survive? Yeah, where we kind of like every part of the book was like an hour of the night and the entire story happened over the span of one night. This one happens over the span of a week. And I feel like with that very set timeline, this one's gonna be like very, very like high energy, fast paced, will just like pull you into it. So I'm excited for that one. And then the last book, but definitely not the least book that I'm so excited for. This one also comes out closer to the end of the summer. Catabasis, or Catabasis, I always say it wrong. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Obviously, I am like R.F. Kuang's #1 fan, and I'm so excited for this book. I've been looking forward to it since like, I don't know, a year and a half when it was first announced, and I immediately pre-ordered it. But this one follows 2 students as they dive into the depths of hell to rescue one of their professors, and I just absolutely cannot wait. It is a fantasy, but R.F. Kuang has described it as I think she described it as like a love story, but not as a romance, which scares me because that sounds like it's not going to end well. Like it sounds like it's going to be some sort of like a romantic tragedy type story if she's calling it a love story and not a romance, and she's using those words very specifically. I'm excited for the tears, I'm excited for the pain, but yeah, I'm definitely so excited for Catabasis, one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and definitely going to read that the second it comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are all of my summer recs and also my summer TBR. Obviously, there are summer romances that I'm gonna throw into there. This video in particular was not about romances on purpose because I think a lot of those romance summer recommendation videos are going to start popping up soon. I just wanted to maybe try to offer something a little bit different, but there are some romances that I want to get to, my TBRs over there. Things like The Love Hater, The Bodyguard, both by Catherine Center. I don't know, I also want to binge read the entire The Summer We Turned Pretty books before the next season comes out. I feel like I'm so past the age of those books, but I never read them. So I kind of feel left out and I want to read them, and they're very like small books and probably very easy to read because they're like teenage, like YA, like very young YA books. So, you know, I just feel like I want to binge those books before the next season of that show comes out, which is also a show that I think is a bit too young for me, but I just watch it anyways because everyone else does. I don't know. But if you want to see a video where I like binge binge read the entire Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy in like 24 hours or something, let me know and we'll make that happen. I am going to leave you guys here for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know what is on your summer TBR. It could be romances, it could be any other genre, just let me know what you want to read this summer. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!